I've been wanting to do a solar project for a very long time, and last year I actually got a quote. It ended up being around $32,000 for a 10 kilowatt system on my house. I thought that was a bit expensive, but this year Tesla Solar is available in my area, and I was pretty inspired by Jerry Rig Everything. He also had a solar kit that he installed on his house, and that was through Solar Wholesale, and there was a discount code there. So I took a look at two different solar providers. The Tesla Solar was through a partner called Intermountain Wind and Solar, which is a local partner. They've been around with Tesla, I guess, for quite some time. And then we have our Solar Wholesale. Both of those seemed like pretty good options, and I wanted to see how much more expensive it was to go with Tesla Solar versus a DIY kit. So let's take a look at that today. So I got two quotes, and on the left you have your Intermountain Wind and Solar quote, and it's a 9.62 kilowatt system. And on your right, we have the DIY kit, and it was, this one's a little bit larger. It's a 10.6 kilowatt system. So they're coming out to be almost identical in price at that total system price of $21,791 for Intermountain Wind and Solar, and then $21,670 for the DIY kit. Now the DIY kit has about 10% more efficient panels. They're both using 26 panels, but Intermountain Wind and Solar has 370 watt panels, and the DIY kit was coming with 410 watt panels. However, I didn't think that I went back and forth with both of these companies, and I got a pretty good discount from Intermountain Wind and Solar, but the DIY kit, they would not budge on their price. Essentially, I'm paying $1,500 more or something around there for the installed system, but I felt like that was worth it. So I actually went with the Intermountain Wind and Solar system, and I wanted to talk about it. So looking at these two systems side by side, there were a couple of differences that affected my decision. So on this right side right here, we have the efficiency and the warranty. So the warranty on the DIY system, at 25 years, they guarantee 83.1% in terms of efficiency. The Intermountain Wind and Solar, the Tesla product, they have a guarantee of power in 25 years. They're going to be generating 92% efficiency for this particular kit. And the one that they're actually using is the REC NPeak 2 black solar panel. And again, this is a 370 watt panel at around 20% efficiency. So they're assuming that I'm going to make around 16,781 kilowatt hours per year. And I felt like with the actual warranty information being much better, we're only getting like a 0.25 degradation every single year instead of 0.5. It just made a lot more sense in terms of the numbers. And both of the systems looked pretty much like this on top of my house. I had 6 panels over here, and then my 20 panels is going to be in this center section of my home. One thing that I'm not super excited about with Intermountain Wind and Solar is that they're dragging their feet just a little bit. I am about 5 hours away from their main office, and I do have to travel down here. So I was able to get somebody down here pretty quick. The sales guy's name was Brian. Then I'm also working with a couple other people. Going through the city of St. George, I ran into some issues there. It was really interesting talking to the city of St. George about putting solar panels on our house. During the summer, they always urge us to use less power during the summer. And I worked at the data center here, and the incoming voltage for the data center was 480 volts. And as you know, with power fluctuates. It should be 480 input voltage at the data center, but it would fluctuate quite a bit. So there were, in the summertime in midday, it would only come in at about 450 volts, maybe 445 volts, which was extremely low. And then at night, it would be at about 490 volts because they were generating too much power that was getting sent across the wire. So it's definitely an issue in the summertime. And you'd think having a solar panel array would help mitigate that. But the reason I'm saying this is because my power provider, Dixie Power, they did not like the fact that I was installing solar panels. First, they tried to talk me out of it, and then they had a solar program, which is really terrible on their end. They essentially pay you twice as much and say they're going to give you solar generated power, and they just charge you a bunch more for the power that they give you, which is not great. And then thirdly, the lady that I talked to, she said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And she proceeded to talk about how I would only generate power from about 9 o'clock a.m. to about 1 o'clock p.m. But I'm going to do it anyway. And it was just surprising that working with a Dixie Power with my local company was such a challenge. And then the city of St. George, they dragged their feet quite a bit. I had to wait about a month and a half to get an approval. They said it was going to take anywhere from 7 to 14 days to do the approval, and they wouldn't give me a reason. They were just slow. So talking to both City of St. George officials that I called and talking to Dixie Power, they were both, I wouldn't say hostile, but they kept trying to get me to not do it, which is kind of an interesting thing. You'd think you'd want to have more sustainable energy. I know you have to balance it, which can be a challenge, but it doesn't seem like it's something that would be bad. In fact, I'd be helping out quite a bit with that peak load, because you can essentially just take my house off of it. During the daytime, we're just generating our own power. So let's go back to this Tesla solar project, because I actually am already halfway through with this project. I have all the approvals committed, and we're going to install it later this summer. It's too bad that I wasn't able to get it installed before summer, because that would have been pretty cool. But we did have this. So the 9.6 kilowatt system is gonna cover about 87% of my power, and the cost of my power is about $170 a month. So if we actually take the cost of the system, which was around $21,000, and then you reduce that by it was like 6,200. I think it was just a couple $100 above that. So we were right around $15,000 after the tax credit. And then if we divide that by 170, which is going to be my monthly bill, and divide that by 12. So in 8 years, these panels should have paid for themselves. Here's kind of a consumption versus generation. So March, April, May, June looks like we can generate more than we're going to consume. And then July, August, September is pretty rough. And in St. George, we have the AC going a lot. And then in the wintertime, there's not a whole lot of sun. So it's going to be pretty interesting. So I'm really excited about the solar project. And I was surprised that Tesla was just as inexpensive as a DIY solar. And it's been great to have someone working with me on this. The hardest part, I think, is getting all the approvals, making sure that's all done. I know the DIY system, they did it themselves, but I'm pretty confident that I know exactly how to do a solar installation. I helped my dad do a solar installation. He did it on his own at his place, which was super cool. So, and he has a battery system as well. So we worked with the battery system. I don't have any batteries on mine. Batteries will come later. So that's something that I want to actually run. I want to get a failover switch at my house so that I can either run off a generator or run off batteries. I think that would be pretty sweet. And if I could run off batteries during a specific time of day, so if the sun's not shining or something's happening, I think that'd be pretty cool as well, especially with the variable rates. So more to come on there. But what are your thoughts on solar? I think it's a pretty good idea for me. I mean, we live in a great spot for it here in St. George. There's a ton of sun. I think we have like 300 days of sun every year. So it's an awesome place to get a lot out, even though our cost per kilowatt is fairly low right now. I think we only pay about, at the most, we're paying around 10 cents a kilowatt hour for the cost of our energy. So not a whole lot. And that's in the summer on variable rates. So we have really cheap power here in southern Utah, but still, even with that, I can pay off the system in around 8 years. Makes a whole lot of sense. More to come, but let me know what you think, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.